Sorry, Hans, go ahead.
No, I
So-
was gonna say, what was your take on that Blue Beetle movie? I felt like they were trying too hard on the whole Mexican Latino heritage.
So Blue Beetle is actually a one of there's multiple ones, right?
No, he
Blue
was.
Beetle's
I know that.
he's like Green Lantern. So there's like been multiple people with that name, but so there's a Mexican version of it, and they use that one. I mean, they try to be inclusive, and I like that, but overall the movie just felt rushed. I don't know.
Yeah, and it felt forced though. It didn't come out naturally.
So I know why Hans is asking that question, because we've watched plenty of stuff and they get the Haitian stuff wrong 99% of the time.
Oh my gosh, we
when they speak at
accents.
Oh, I was like, what?
But that's not how we sound.
The very few times, like at the end, the cut scene of Black Panther, the most recent one, where they were actually in Haiti. I was like, oh yeah, that is us. I was like, but also again. Hello, but Lupita say Haiti. I was cringing.
Bro.
I wanted to jump through the screen. Like,
well, she's Mexican. That's why.
Pissing me off.
To your sister.
Hello,
your sister.
How am I pissing you off? She was born in Mexico.
No, we know that. We're not even being funny. We know. Talk to her.
If there's a Dave Chappelle race draft, Mexico would claim her.
Of course, I want to claim
this
her.
This is
Annie Yams. You're trying to claim the Yams.
She's a beautiful woman. I'll just say that.
I think the definition of greatness is to inspire the people next to you. It's not something that lives and dies with one person. It's how can you inspire a person to then in turn inspire another person that then inspires another person. And that's how you create something that I think lasts forever. And I think that's our challenge as people, is to figure out how our story can impact others and motivate them in a way to create their own greatness.
Welcome to the Welcome to the 3-on-3 podcast. I'm your boy Hans, here with my partners in crime, Ev. Yes, sir. We got Lou. How you doing, Lou?
I'm nowhere near as cool.
Hey, man. My boy Ev is styling and profiling, man. I'm loving it. And as always, we have the Pod Mamba behind the scenes, making sure that we're on point, giving us coaching. Yes, and he's giving us coaching. That's what he is. He's the coach of the podcast out here. The Phil
Steve
Jackson.
Kerr podcasting.
Oh, there you go. I like that. All right, y'all. Let's get into the show. We have another great show in store for you today. So I may be dating myself, but the landscape of the NBA has changed drastically from when I was watching it as a teenager. You know, we're so far.
Long ago was that?
Hey, relax. We're so far removed from the initial impact of the Dream Team. I mean, basketball historians know that the Dream Team is credited for further advancing the game on a global scale, right? We've all seen the Dream Team documentaries and what they've done for basketball being accepted in other countries around the world. I mean, I can remember literally where there were less than a handful of international players who were playing at an MVP level. Like when I think of when Hakeem was at his dominance, and Ev, you can attest to this, you didn't really have any other international players playing to his level. I think of during my time when we were talking about Ginobili, when he was at his peak, Dirk was still coming into form, right? But now you fast forward to present day, and literally we have the top 5 players in the MVP race right now are all international players. The top 5, which
Shout
to me is unprecedented, not seen, and we are in a new era, gentlemen, of the NBA. So, with that being said, we have, and I'm going to list them right now as the show's being recorded, top 5 on the MVP ladder race. Number 1, Ev's favorite, Joel Embiid. The process, you have to trust it. Number 2, we got the Joker. And number 3, coming up, He's risen up, and he's been dropping some 40 pieces on people too. The Greek Freak, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Number 4, as Lou likes to affectionately call him. Go ahead and say it, Lou.
Shea Gilly, baby. Let's go.
Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, OKC. And number 5, my pick from the beginning of the season, Luka Doncic. Okay, Luka Magic. All right, out here making it happen. I want to start with you, Ev. I said I didn't want to date myself. I know you're the big brother here. I'm not gonna have you date yourself as well. But before we
He definitely dated you. He said,
he's the big brother.
He said, low key, I'm old, but you're older. That's what he said.
Right.
Caught that.
Translation.
Anyway.
Grandfather Sands here. Okay.
There you go. There you
What's
go.
your question, sir? What's your question?
Yeah, listen, man. What's your take initially with the landscape of the MVP right now and how the international players are really stepping it up and they're legit MVPs? It's not even in the question as to how they're playing and how they could be denied compared to the American players. So what's your take on what we're seeing right now and as the league continues to progress in the future?
Well, back in my day, Hans, I would say, no, I'm just messing
I
with
love
you.
it. I love it. I love it.
I mean, when you're looking at the landscape right now, to me, it's awesome, but it's crazy that, the top 4/5 players in the league, whether you're talking MVP or you're just talking talent, like legitimate foreign-born players. You named Embiid, you named Luka, you named Giannis. Oh, and by the way, the reigning NBA champion, Nikola Jokic, balling at levels that are head and shoulders above everyone else, and not only balling at those levels, like you're seeing that they care. You're seeing the effort that they're putting in, and they're playing beautiful styles of basketball at that. And in the past week, they've gone to another level. Now, I won't run through the stats of all of them. I'll let y'all jump on y'all's favorites, but I'll just point out a couple. You talk about Joel Embiid. I mean, he hasn't even played in the fourth quarter of like the last 2 games. But I mean, when you've got him putting up 40 pieces, 30 pieces, 15, 14 rebounds, right? In a matter of 28, 29, 30 minutes, leading the league in points, leading in player efficiency rating, leading in win shares per 48 minutes, still giving you that dominant defensive presence. You mentioned Akeem at the beginning. To me, he's the best offensive center since Akeem Olajuwon. And
oh wow.
That's me. That's me. And when you put it into context of, and I've mentioned this from time and time again, the additions to his game every year, right? He gets better. He gets better. You see the work that he's putting in. And you see that with Luka, with Giannis, and with Jokic as well. Not only are they at the top, they're staking their foothold at the top of the league. It's just awesome to see. It just leads to the question of who's after them. But for me, I'm a big Embiid fan. I think he's I would put him best in the league right now. I understand the arguments for the other ones though.
Got you. So speaking of fans of it, I did notice when you were rattling off names, you left off another one, which Lou still has the little contention with. He mentioned off air, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. So I will say he has jumped up out of the players on this list. I would say his jump is really exponential compared to everybody else. So everybody expects Luka, Embiid, Giannis, and Joker to be on there. SGA is really the surprise. With SGA being the surprise, is he the one that I would say, Lou, I'll let you answer it. Is he the one that people looking to knock off this list? Or is he putting his claim? Is this his breakout season saying, putting you on notice, I'm a legit MVP contender and I'm here to stay as an MVP contender?
Man, I'm going to keep it very, very, very simple when it comes to Shea Gilly. Number one, he is, yes, this is his breakout year for sure. But not only is it his breakout year, he's going to get the Ja treatment. The year that Ja was an MVP conversation, he didn't win it. He got most improved. I'm expecting that for Shea. You know what I mean? Because it's at the end of the day, even though they're never going to put Shea right now above these other guys. I would hope so, especially if they continue to, like, if he continues to play at this high level. Let's look at where these other guys that are in the MVP conversation are, where they fall into all of this. Joel, my issue with Joel and Luka, you can't be in the top 5 leading the league in turnovers for me to then be in that, to have you in that conversation. When you have
a hater,
Joe,
bro. You a hater. I ain't mean to cut you off, but you a hater.
Nah, feel free to cut me off. Is that hate? We are men lie, women lie. Numbers don't.
I'll tell you.
Wow.
You can lead the league. You can lead the league in scoring, but if you're also leading, in top 5 in turnovers, that means you're also giving up those points. So that means you're negating some of the points you're giving up. You know who's not top 5 in leading the league? Joker, Shea Gilly, but Jake is also. But also Jake is Joker. But also Joker is also in top 5 in leading the league in assists. So again, what does the MVP mean? Not only are you the best player on your team, but you're also a person that also leads your team in being one of the best teams in the NBA. What does that mean for these other guys? Where does Dallas fall? You know what I mean? In terms of all of this, right? Where does Philadelphia fall? Where does OKC fall? So, in the MVP race, I think Shea has to really be a serious conversation in terms of somebody who's contending for it. If we look into the past 15 years, right? Or rather, let's take it on a 5-year increment. The last 15 years, those back half of those 10 years have been all US-based guys, right? And it's mainly been Steph, LeBron, Curry as well, and then peppered in, you got, Westbrook, Harden, and my guy D Rose, right? And then the most recent 5 years, it's been all international. It's been all international between Joker and Embiid. So it was like, the league is definitely taking a shift. The best players in the league right now are the international guys, and it's showing in the MVP race. Shea really has to be, again, like I said, has to really be a serious consideration. He probably won't be, because one of how early it is in his career, going against guys who've been doing consistently. Look, Joker's almost averaging a triple-double. Last time we seen a guy average a triple-double in the NBA, they won what? The MVP, our dear brother Westbrook. So we're going to have to really recognize, like, yeah, even though he's not going to win it. I don't think he's going to win it. But like I said very early on, he was my dark horse pick, and he's living up to it. And his team is also playing at a high level. Do I think he'll get it? No. Do I think he'll get some other award as a consolation like they did Ja? For sure. But right now, I don't think Joel is the guy for number one. I think Joker is still the number one guy when it comes to the MVP race. And he's going to show it, especially as they finish out. Yes, they're in the top 5. I anticipate by the time the season ends, they'll be number 1 or number 2 in the West. You know what I mean?
The Nuggets, or are you talking about OKC?
The Nuggets.
Nuggets, okay.
I think OKC is going to stay in the top 3. I think OKC is going to stay in the top 3. They have, Shea Gilly, again, one of the top point guards in the league, one of the top guards in the league, and also they have a serious candidate for Rookie of the Year, and also they have a great supporting cast. And they've been making some noise, and they show no signs of letting up off the gas. So, I think there's going to be a serious conversation for Shea Gilly. Do I think he'll win it? No, but I think that, yeah, for sure, he'll end up being in conversation of getting some other award this year.
So what I would say, and no hate to Shea Gilly. I adopted the name. That's my guy. You could bring your hatred for Joel Embiid. I'm gonna let it ride.
No hate.
This is
just
a love
that.
fest.
No hate. Just
this is
numbers.
a love fest for
just numbers.
all of
no hate.
the players at the top.
Numbers are
playing
agnostic.
Embiid's playing out of his mind right now. Luka is playing a form of basketball where he completely controls the game, and it looks sustainable in a way where it hasn't looked for James Harden, for Russell Westbrook. That I have the ball and I'm controlling it the whole game. The size and consistency of it, it looks amazing.
I hear what you're talking about with Luka, but that's a byproduct of having Kyrie. When you have another
Kyrie's been out, though. Kyrie's been out.
No. Agreed. But when Kyrie, again, you have What?
He's been doing
When they're
No.
both on the floor? Oh,
He's
come
been
on, bro.
Luka's been doing that
it, man.
before Kyrie.
No,
If Kyrie wasn't here, he'd still be in that.
No,
So
I
you can't
agree
call
with
it
you.
a you can't say it's a byproduct.
No, my byproduct of where they are as a team. Where they are as a
No.
team. What? Being number 3 in the West? You think it's not
No.
because of that? You
No.
think they would be number 3 in the West without
100%
having
not.
Kyrie on the team?
Yes, 100%.
Kyrie's been out for like 2 weeks. Have
He's
you
been
watched him
out.
the last 2 weeks? Man?
He hasn't played. And when he's playing, he's insignificant. Like I'm watching
I won't
like,
say
he's
insignificant,
like
but
he's
Luka,
not.
the past 2 weeks, what I'm getting at is the past 2 weeks, these players at the top. I mean, he had Giannis's 64-point game the other night.
And
Did he
dropped
ever get
40
the ball back?
Did
Did he ever get the ball back?
40 before that.
Did he ever get the ball?
They might still be fighting.
They always
out,
had the ball,
right?
They just ain't know.
Yeah, I heard the Pacers had a reserve ball and they had the actual.
Yeah,
ball.
they already had the game ball. They didn't know.
Yeah.
So yeah,
but
yeah, it's unfortunate.
But I say all that to say Embiid's balling now. Luka's balling now. Giannis is balling now. Oh, by the way, the Nuggets are back to number 2 in the West, right? Jokic still having his saying. They dropped the 4 again today. They was number 2 last
they're
night.
number 4. They're 3.5 games out.
Yeah.
Nah, they bouncing back and forth, and they were number 2 last night. I ain't gonna. It's cool. It's cool. Jokic still having
They're top 5.
triple double bounce.
Exactly.
Season. Forgive me.
No.
Shea
But this
Gilly, by the way,
this makes sense for the conversation we're having. It's just that volatile in terms of just how the teams are shifting. Is the same thing in the conversation we're talking about with the MVP race.
Go ahead, Ev.
True. Oh no, I just say all that to say these players are definitively the top, right? I don't think we could argue that they're at least the top 4, maybe the top 5. The question, and the reason I say maybe on 5 is just the question that I still have is, at this point, who's the best American-born player, and where do they land on this list of top overall players? I'm interested in y'all's thoughts on that. And this is where we remind everybody that Shea is from Canada, so he doesn't count.
Yeah, he's Canadian. Yeah, he's Canadian, so he don't count. So I was thinking about this, right? When you posted in the chat and you ran down the list, and players that I think that come to mind, and I feel like at the end of the day, they're showing us that they're playing at that level in this season right now. You can't deny Jason Tatum. You can't deny how he's leading the Celtics and how he's consistently doing it night in and night out. Now, the issues we've had with Tatum have been playoff, right? Have been playoff. And as it stands right now, the MVP is not a playoff award. It's a regular season award. So Jason Tatum would have to be the contender,
front runner,
the front runner right now for American best player. But here's my take on it. And maybe this is me sticking up for the old heads. Initially, you triggered me, and maybe it was you setting up the bait for me in the chat when you put out like, and you just listed like a couple of American players and you left like 3 or 4 slots out there, making it seem like you didn't know who else you could put in there. And I felt like we need to put some respect on PG, who's been balling out. We need to put some respect on Kawhi, who has yet to miss a game, and he's balling out. You get what I'm saying? Even, dare I say it, because he wears the freaking purple and gold, LeBron James, we need to put some respect on his name. Like, we need to put some respect on some of the old heads.
I'll put respect on AD before LeBron, and this is crazy.
And that's wild, right? And I'm saying this because I think that they're not in this race because their teams are not performing like they should have. If we take teams aside and we just look at them individually, I believe Tatum would be higher up, and I believe we'd have some more respect on the old heads. We need to stop playing in the face of these old heads. But that's just me. But I also understand, similar to Ev's point, some of the things we're seeing with Joker, some of the things we're seeing with SGA even, and Giannis, can't, like, what do you say to that though?
Can't deny that, bro. You can't deny it.
What do you say to that?
You can't deny it.
What's funny about y'all's Tatum point, and y'all say that Tatum is undeniably in contention. I still struggle to put Tatum over KD. When I watch KD, he's still the most efficient bucket out of all the American players
I would
in the
I would
league.
put I would do the same thing as well. But if I'm going by what they're saying,
Yeah.
the
Not-
team.
Well, when you say
Not
saying, I
even-
mean, so
see-
MVP and best player, two different conversations.
See, and this is my biggest
Right.
issue with MVP conversation, right?
Wait,
Because,
so
like,
hold on. So Ev, I want to address that real quick. So for you, best player and MVP are not the same thing.
Not necessarily, no.
Okay. All right.
No. I think there's context.
what's the
to MVP.
distinction? What's the
Well,
distinction?
the distinction to me right now is that I think KD is playing better than Jason Tatum, but his team's record isn't what Boston's team record is.
So that's my question. What's the distinction between MVP and best player?
I think it's a combination. Well, I think it's subjective. I think it changes each year. I think it's most directly responsible for the success that the team is having.
Okay, so that's what I'm asking you. Basically, what is the indicator, right? What is like, okay, best player XYZ, MVP's XYZ. What's the key difference that separates best player versus MVP when you made that statement?
So when I talk about,
go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say. So when I talk about best player, I'm talking about you as a player, your ability and how consistently you showcase the ability to either score or do the other intangibles that involve team success. And that's whether it's the beginning of the game, the end of the game. That's what I look at when I look at best player. And it's not just score, but putting the ball in the bucket is a big part of it. Either score or generate offense through your ability, right? When I'm talking about MVP, it's kind of similar, but it also takes into the account the amount of success that your team is having relative to expectation.
So this is what I'm trying to understand based on what you said initially, because you said best player includes what they're able to do on the floor, offensively, and what all the intangibles, and as relative to their team success. And in the MVP conversation, you said what the main that you're looking at is also take into account their team success. So what is the main difference between when you're having that conversation? Because I think that's the biggest issue in the NBA when it talks about it, right? So what do you mean, right? For me, like, okay, I can give an example. When I talk about MVP for me is the best player on the best team. Meaning, like, without you on that team, your team is nowhere near as good as it is. That's why you're the most valuable player, period. When I talk about best player, I'm just looking strictly about your individual contributions as compared to other people that are your peers. What are you doing? If we're doing an apples to apples comparison, like if we talk about Joker and Embiid, who is better? Or rather, let's go back to a conversation we had before about rookie of the year. We looked at numbers, strictly about numbers. I don't care where your team is exactly. What are you doing as a player? Are you better than the next? Does that make you a better player? And then we talk about in terms of MVP, it's like, oh, what do you then mean for your team as compared to these other guys who are in conversation as best player? What do they mean for their team? And which team has the most success? And if we take you off that team, what does that success of your team look like? If there's a significant drop off, if your team goes from number 1 to number 6 because you're not there, but another player we have in this MVP conversation, their team goes from number 2 to number 3 with them not there, the guy that their team goes from number 1 to number 6 when they're not on the floor is an MVP because they are the most valuable to their team as compared to the other guy. They can still be afloat without their individual contributions, i.e. KD on the Warriors. When they just finished their 72-10 season, like, okay, what do you actually mean? You can never be an MVP, even though you may be the best player on the planet. But what does that mean for your team? You cannot be the most valuable player because if I take you off that team, your team is still successful. That's where and for me, my personal distinction. And that's why I can say about, okay, when I'm talking about best player versus MVP conversation.
You're right, Lou and Ev. I do think that there needs to be a distinction between best player and MVP, but I think we can discuss that at another time. There's so much that goes into that and so many nuances. But in your discussion, you did mention two teams that I think are worth discussing right now that have had an MVP or a potential MVP, and we don't know what's going on with them, and that's Golden State, and that's the Memphis Grizzlies, right? So you got Steph, who's on there, who's a MVP, who's putting up numbers this year, but they're not performing up to expectations, especially coming off this Draymond, I don't even know what to call it, fiasco, kerfuffle, swing, whatever you want to call it. He has now been suspended indefinitely. So I, for one, am not, I'm not big on making examples out of people, but I am big on setting a tone and making sure that everybody has an understanding of their ground rules and what they can do and what's not acceptable in the society that we live in. Draymond Green, is this the flag? Is this the foreshadowing of the beginning of the end of the Golden State era, of the Dubs? Have we seen the last? Is this the iceberg in the Arctic Ocean? What are your thoughts on that?
So I heard a lot of takes on this, of course, the past week, and here we are talking about Draymond assaulting a person again, chokehold, roundhouse. He's got all the Mortal Kombat buttons down pat.
Hey man, mushing them.
But listen, right, but
down, left, right, triangle,
right,
triangle.
exactly. Combo. Anyway, that was Killer Instinct. But of all the things that I heard, there were two very interesting takes that I wanted to point out. One was when they asked Kevin Durant about it, former teammate. Now the words, we hope he gets the help he needs. I heard it from a lot of people, and I took it as just wordplay. But when I heard Kevin Durant say it, somebody who has a relationship with him, somebody that's been in the fire with him, right? When I heard KD say that he hopes he gets the help that he needs, I felt like that was illuminating to me. I felt like that was somebody that was actually in the know, that was pointing out, hey, Draymond has something or some things that he really does need to work through specifically in order to not only salvage his basketball career, but salvage himself as a person. So that was interesting to me, just hearing it from KD, because we know Steph's
At
afraid
all.
of Draymond. Steph's not touching it, right? So the other thing that was another take that was interesting, and this was from Bill Simmons with The Ringer. He was talking about it, and all the talk about, are they done? What are they gonna do with Draymond? Can he come back? Is his career never gonna be the same or whatnot? The thing that he pointed out with is Golden State will probably never be done with Draymond as long as they have Steph Curry, because no player knows Steph Curry as well as Draymond. Their secondhand language on the court is what takes Steph from being maybe a 10 to 9th player to closer to one of the top players in the league. So Draymond is what makes Steph at his most superpower on the court, their offensive chemistry. So I say that to say that from that take, he was saying that they will continue to deal with this until the wheels probably fall off, because Draymond, in a way, is vital to the totality of Steph's career, and Steph's not going to let that go, which may be part of why we never hear Steph Curry say a bad thing about Draymond Green. Two interesting takes that I heard from this past week.
Question on that though. So you just said something that illuminated me. Did the Warriors acquiring Chris Paul, was that a low-key sneak way of maybe trying to distance themselves from Draymond, or finding a replacement that will augment Steph Curry's abilities on the court? As Christian, our pod mamba, likes to say that Steph Curry's not a point guard. Draymond's the point guard of that team, right? So if you bring in a true point guard, i.e. Chris Paul, is that the team sneaky kind of way of finding another option to run the point so they won't have to rely heavily on Draymond like they were before?
I think, in honesty, they brought Chris Paul in so they could get rid of that contract at the end of the year so that they can avoid the second level of the repeater taxes. So that, well, one, they have some path to keeping or putting forth some semblance of a team after this year, and that yeah, they're not having to pay all those taxes after this year. Chris Paul has been decent for the Warriors, but I'm not 100% sure Chris Paul will last the remainder of this season with the Warriors, based on how they're looking so far. But that's just my take.
Okay, got you. Lou, your take before we move on.
I mean, I think with Golden State is something very simple. Writing is on the wall. Do I think this is the beginning of the end? Yes. And let me know if y'all heard if it was confirmed or not. But for me, I was already reading that they don't plan on ringing up for Clay in the future. I think Golden State is kind of looking down the line. I mean, Draymond, though that's an interesting take about Draymond, but I think it's a little bit flawed, and because I think that it doesn't take into account the importance of Clay in the entire career of Steph and what made the Warriors what they were. I think if you didn't have a Clay there, just having Draymond, Steph doesn't have the career that he has. Draymond, at the end of the day, man, especially if his value is inherently tied to Steph, that means with no Steph, Draymond doesn't really have any value. So if he doesn't really have any value, I don't think that Draymond then goes to another team, take a league, minimum, a vet minimum anywhere else. I think, if it's over with the Warriors, he then retires and goes into media. But yeah, no, I mean, in terms of where Draymond is right now, I think he deserves it. I know you talked about making an example. Yeah, I don't care for making an example, but I also don't care for repeat offenders. And I mean, I think his highlight reel of his offenses are just as
going
plentiful.
Crazy on social media right now.
I mean, they're just as plentiful as any other top athletes or top players, positive highlights. So for you to have a highlight reel like that where people can, over the entirety of your career so far, be able to put that together, it's telling in itself. So I think Draymond is kind of, saying, F it, I'm going out on my own terms. I know that I'm not going to really get much after Golden State. This run is over. I won my chips. I did what I did. See me on the media. I'm interesting enough.
To expand on your Clay point, as the Pod Mamba pointed out, they did offer Clay 2-year 48, but he did turn it down. So last I heard, he's still kind of holding out for more, and that's just a sticky situation for him. And I hated that it had to be like this for him. Amin Al-Hassan pointed this out. At least that's who I saw pointed out. I'm pretty sure other people said it as well. The way the NBA works is 9 times out of 10, they don't pay you for what you did in the past. They pay you for what you think you're going to do for us in the future. And I hate to say it, but Clay's best days, given the injuries, and their major injuries that he's coming back from, they seem to look like they're behind him. And the team is not going to pay you for what you did for us. That's the business of the NBA. Yep. They're going to pay you for what we want you to do, or what can you do for us moving forward. So it's just unfortunate with Clay. But I want to move on to another player that's coming back. Ja is returning. Is his Superman cape going to be powerful enough to save the Grizzlies season? We have documented and been talking about the Grizzlies' descent this year. They're 13th in the West right now. Is Ev, as a resident Ja fan, does he have enough superpower in his veins? Is his cape long enough to save the Grizzlies season, or should he just go here and just try to get the accolades and hope the best for next year?
Well, Josh's still an electric player. If he comes back, the player that he was before the suspensions, I mean, he still has the talent to raise the team. They're 6.5 out of the play-in right now. It's going to be a daunting climb back up. Desmond Bane has looked great, having the best season of his career. Jaren Jackson, he looks I say the same as he looks inconsistent, but he has some strong nights to him. A lot of injuries on that team. They're gonna have to get healthy. But I mean, when you bring back an All NBA player, you have potential to rise, and it's still early enough. I mean, they have like what, if he's not 25. Don't make me do public math. Or what's that? 56 games to get to make up some ground. Will Houston stay in the mix? Will New Orleans stay in the mix? We'll see. It's gonna be tough. The West is definitely tough. My concern more with Ja is, has he done the work to get to the right place mentally? I listened in on his media presser over the weekend, and I'm just concerned because I still hear a young guy who I don't hear the details of the accountability that he's taking for his actions. I hear a lot of the buzzwords, the gratitude and thankful, and words that look great put on a t-shirt. But I don't really hear the specific accountability of here's what I did. Here's why I did it. Here's the nuances that I've done to make sure that these things don't take place again. And he doesn't necessarily owe us that, but it just gives me concern. When I hear it on, does he get the precariousness of the situation that he's in? Does he get that he's on his last strike?
Yeah, it comes off like I know what not to do, but I don't know what I've learned.
Yeah,
In school, like, what did you learn? No, it's
Mhm.
more like it's coming off like, hey, I know not to do this again. Not, hey, this is what I learned from it. This is what happened to it. This is the impact that it may have, et cetera, et cetera. And I do understand
Exactly.
that. And I also do wonder on the PR side of it too, is his team just playing it safe. Less is better, given that his court case was kind of going on at the same time when he had the issue with the what was it, the then 17-year-old
Yeah,
or
yeah.
18-year-old. So he has that going on as well too. So I could see his PR team just saying, hey bro, keep it PC, less is more. Let's just focus on getting you back on the floor where your game can speak for itself, when his game does speak volume. So I am
That's very
anticipating
true.
and
Very
looking
true.
forward to Ja coming back. With that being said, at this time of the year, it's trade time. So the rumor mills are just going, and I'm surprised I'm not seeing the Memphis Grizzlies in there. It's really surprising. At the end of the day, Ja is still young enough. He's still young enough where you can blow up this team or sell it for parts and build around him again. And like you said, Triple J is inconsistent. Bane, he is playing the best of his career, but outside of that, what do you really have? Like, I do know Steven Adams is out, right, for the season or for most of the
Yeah, for
season.
the
Steven
season.
Adams is
For the
out for
season.
the season.
For the
Brandon
season,
Clark's
right?
out probably for the season.
So
Luke
I think
Kennard's been hurt. Yeah, a lot of
Luke
those.
so
Kennard is
they
out for the
they
season as well.
they do have the young legs to where they can sustain, right, a rebuilding in that vein of it. But let's get into these trade rumors. I want to first hear from you, Lou. What's the trade rumor that stuck out the most to you first? And they're just rumors right now. Not much has been solidified. What's the one that really just came out and struck you first?
Just a little surprised at Laurie. I thought that Utah was kind of sold on him as being a guy that they could really build around, especially based on how he's been playing. He's been healthy. So when
And how
that
he
came up,
looks. And how he looks.
hey man, if it,
His
I
play,
mean,
his
shit.
play, his play. I don't know what you're
Oh,
talking about.
I
Yeah.
thought we were talking about his looks.
Yeah, how he looks. How he looks.
Look, man, as a Bulls fan, I have my own gripes with Laurie. Um, I'm not gonna say whether I feel vindicated or not in this situation as a Bulls fan, but what I will say is that name, when it popped up, I was a little bit surprised. I thought, the whole purpose in terms of the moves that they made as of late, the last two seasons, were really to kind of build that, especially, you pick up John Collins as another piece, coming from Atlanta, who's shown that he can be like a solid guy that you can have off the bench, or even potentially a guy that's in your starting lineup. So I'm just a bit surprised that Lauri is coming up, but also look, based on how he's playing, that makes sense. Also, what is Utah looking to do? You know what I mean? You're looking to move Lauri, but what are you going to do with Clarkson? Are you keeping Clarkson? Right. So like I'm not really understanding where Utah's going to go. Right. I can see they. Oh, go ahead.
I think they're winning is the issue. They're not winning because Lauri's play, like I asked the beginning of it, right? I know you have gripes with Lauri. I know you have some personal gripes with Lauri, how he did you guys
kick
wrong.
rocks. Okay.
Right. You're in Haitian terms, c'est bon pour, right? I get it. But he is playing well. He's averaging 23 points a game right now. So yeah. 8 rebounds. So I think it's not translating into wins, and that's a problem for Utah.
But that's my thing is why him, right? Yeah. So like, all right, Clarkson has been up and down, all right, this season so far. Like, you know what I mean? So your most consistent player, your cornerstone.
I mean, we'll take him.
I think that's the thing. I think when your cornerstone,
of course you will.
When your cornerstone has you on a corner that's not successful, you're on the wrong corner.
On the wrong corner.
You got to pimp better, baby. But
I mean, the Sixers did it for years.
Well, on purpose. To your point though, I think Clarkson. They should look at Clarkson as well.
Not going to get much value for Clarkson though.
Well, so that's why Lauri's on the table, because Lauri's the one you're going to extract.
But I'm saying, but you have to move them all. You're going to have to move them all, right? It's either especially when you talk about Lauri, you're talking about a full blow up at this point because everybody else are role players, right?
True.
So if you're gonna move that piece, then unless you're going to be looking for a package for another big star, what's happening? Who knows? Maybe Levine will end up in Utah. We'll get Lauri and break my heart further.
Draft pick roulette, that's what people like.
Wow, yeah, that's true.
Shot at the top, man.
The potential that is draft picks, because we all know where that can lead you.
Well, when you're a team like Utah, it's because you can only build a team like 3 ways. You could draft them, free agency, or trade for them, right? Utah's not getting free agents.
Mm-hmm.
Who are they trading for that's moving the needle right now? So that's why they're looking at probably let's trade Lauri for a package that either gets us some better draft picks, right, or gives us more of a compilation of draft picks that we can trade for hopefully a transcendent star or draft a transcendent star, because we're not going to sign them.
So OKC
just get Donovan back.
Yeah. Okay.
OKC type of deal. Yeah. Nah, man, getting Donovan back.
Get Donovan with Lauri, man. Get Donovan with Lauri. There you go.
They're trying to move Lauri. What are they going to give up to get Donovan back?
Back on now, I don't know. Dog.
There's a rumor maybe Donovan to Brooklyn.
He wants to go.
Darren Williams
definitely wants to go to New York.
Well, I can see him going down on a Darren Williams type of thing.
Yeah, wrong New York team though. You want to go to the Knicks?
I mean,
what are you going to do with Brunson then?
Tell me if I'm wrong.
This was before
Evan.
Brunson, but the Knicks ain't want to come off.
Tell me if I'm wrong, Evan. But didn't Donovan says he wanted to go to New York Knicks, right? Like that's his preferred choice.
He wanted to go to the Knicks. We wouldn't get off of RJ Barrett. We
Randall.
We underplayed the market. No, Randall wasn't in the deal. But Barrett, I know Barrett, Grimes, and someone else.
But if Donovan goes to Brooklyn, is that close enough for him to be like, okay, I'm in New York, like adjacent? It's close enough for me to.
I don't know if his game doesn't I don't know if his game translates with Michael. So we keep it stacked. And then what do you do with Ben?
What do you do with Ben?
You send him to China, bro. Time to learn Chinese, buddy.
Wow. Go to the Shanghai Sharks. That's where we're going with it.
But what's interesting though, that Donovan Mitchell was my answer to your question of the big one of the surprises right now. I mean, you look at him; he's still got a few years left on his deal. But
I'm kind of not surprised at that.
Well, the writing on the wall is that he doesn't want to be there. It's funny when you watch him play. I mean, he's balling out right now. I think he's at 27 a game. I mean, he's putting up the stats, right? 27, right under 6 rebounds, 5.5 assists. it doesn't look like he's slacking on the court, but it looks very
disinterested.
professional. Yeah, it looks very
It's
disinterested.
like,
And
I'm here to do my
professional.
job and go home.
Yes. And
I
so
think it's an
you can see
identity
that.
thing. Because I think he feels at the end of the day, they know that, they want Garland to be their guy. And he's playing second fiddle. And you know what I mean? I think there's a la what we're dealing with on the Bulls. Right.
But
I
with
think he didn't want
Garland,
to go there.
both Garland and Mobley are now out for multiple weeks. They're both out for at least 6 weeks. Is it now time for Cleveland to maybe tank?
No, and this is what I think is. I feel like that's more of the issue with why he wants to leave, or he's in the rumors. Cleveland's not a contender like he thought they were going to be. Cleveland's not as competitive as he thought they were going to be. So, which is why he would rather go to the Knicks, because he feel like he'd be more competitive with the Knicks versus Brooklyn. I think what's going on is he's seeing, like, even with Garland and Mobley back, we can't compete with the Celtics. We can't compete with the Sixers. And I think that's causing him issues. He wants to be able to compete at a higher level. So it's causing him some distress, even though, like Ev said, he is balling. He's averaging 27. So I think that's what's happening. But to Christian's point, you got 2 players injured. Do you do that? But do you do that in risk of losing him? Like, so just lose him and then just tank for what are the prospects out there?
Well, you garner the draft
prospects.
picks. You get the draft picks for Donovan and maybe even Jared Allen. I mean, I don't know. And then you go from there.
Jared Allen is one of the few guys you want to keep because, again, from a defensive perspective, how many big men do you have that play defense? Really?
I don't think so.
But I also think you could get more for him.
I think Mobley is the priority, and Mobley hasn't shown that he can shoot the ball, so he fits better.
But defensively, I feel you. But defensively, you taking Mobley or Allen?
I'm taking Mobley.
Listen, he'll look really nice next to AD.
Mobley
he'll look really nice next to AD.
5 positions.
They'll look good next to AD, huh?
Mobley's closer to a 5 position defender than Allen is.
I would take Mobley just because he has more upside for me. I think you can get more for Allen. There's a lot of teams that would like an Allen-like player right now, especially teams that are contending. I can think of Golden State. They'd like to have Allen right now. So
Lakers,
I would.
Lakers.
Speaking of that, I sent y'all an interesting trade earlier today. Y'all could pillar it, but
no one wants Siakam, man.
Mobley, Siakam,
but I think Toronto has to do something. That GM,
Garland.
Toronto's GM Masai Ujiri needs to fucking do something because he can't keep on holding on to these guys and just keep on hoping that Dennis Schroeder is the guy who's going to turn things around for them.
I mean, what else can they do though? Like Ev says, there's only 3 ways.
Get picks and tank.
With OG, Siakam,
no,
Barnes,
get rid of them.
Get rid of them.
Yeah,
the thing is, you get rid of them, but here's the thing, right? When you just getting rid of players, right? There's another aspect of it is one want.
My fault. Continue.
Nah, yo, you got it.
No one wants to go to Toronto. I mean, all these NBA players.
What you said, Wiggins going back home. I'm like, oh yeah, okay. You said what's his name? What was his name?
It was Toronto.
Maple Jordan. Maple Jordan.
Right
no, stop it. We're not.
RJ Barrett is the man.
He was compared as the Canadian LeBron James coming out of college.
Goodness gracious.
Do you guys don't remember that? They were saying that Andrew Wiggins was going to be the next LeBron James.
I remember all of that.
Yeah,
Look at
him.
Look at him now.
Maple Jordan.
Yeah. I didn't come up with these names, man. That's on the internet.
No.
The Maple Mamba was that? That's RJ Barrett.
That's RJ
Mamba. Yeah,
that's the most disrespectful Mamba iteration I've ever heard. Even worse than the White Mamba. That's Brian Scalabrine.
You know the best.
Yes, isn't he Red Mamba?
Is he?
He's Red.
Nah, he's
the Red Mamba.
I thought
he was White Mamba.
Red, white. He's both. I don't know.
I think Dirk was the White Mamba.
Dirk.
I think so. I look it up.
Who?
Dirk ain't need to be.
Dirk might have been the White Mamba.
Dirk
ain't need it.
Nowitzki?
Nah, he ain't have no Mamba. He ain't no Mamba talent. Like the
older than
Mamba
Kobe.
didn't. I'm about to say the Mamba stuff didn't come till later. Like
Oh,
stop
no,
it.
you might be right. No,
Like,
I
Scalabrini was
mean,
white
I guess
Mamba.
the closest
Yeah.
He
White
was White
Mamba would be
Mamba.
Yeah, it's
Austin
like,
Reeves, but he's
stop.
hillbilly.
Okay,
He's
okay.
hillbilly
You know
Kobe.
what? Wait. Stop. He
Stop
said
with these
Austin
nicknames.
Reeves. Please boot me
Hillbilly
out of
Kobe.
this. Boot me out of this podcast immediately.
All right. Well, I've tried multiple
Yeah.
times. I still can't
Bullshit.
do it.
Austin Reeves, White Mamba. I need to
We're
check.
going away from
Where's
this
the
trade
check?
talk. Lou, talk to us about Levine. What's going on?
If I knew,
You want Levine? That's what it is. You want
I
him
would
in
be.
the purple and
I would
gold,
be.
huh?
I would be a much happier Bulls fan if I knew.
I'll tell you what's going on.
Ask your man Rich Paul, because you have the direct plug to his man.
What you
This
think
is
is
what's
going
going
on
on with him. He's hurt. His contract's too big,
Mm-hmm.
and the value just isn't out there. There's no fit for
There isn't
that contract to be your third best player because nobody wants him to be your second best player.
Really? Why is that?
Because if he's your second best player, you're not going anywhere. That's why.
And Randall's a better choice. I'm sorry, this is not the conversation we're having. Sorry. You're right.
Nah, that's cool, man. You've been full of hate today, man. Get it off your chest, man.
Hey, I was asking a very simple question.
Let me go see.
I was
these
asking a
standings
simple
real quick.
question.
Are y'all in the
that was
play-in
quick.
yet? Hold on, let me.
I
check.
just have a question. Hans, would you want Randall as your second best player?
12th. Okay, y'all are 12th
I'm not.
today.
I'm not
Y'all
gonna
just gotta
ask the
pass
pod
Hawks,
mama.
that's
I'm
all.
not gonna ask the pod mama because
Let's go
you know what I
back.
mean?
Let's go
he
back.
was already on the
about these
Lakers.
depressing
He was already on the
Raptors that are
Lakers.
doing better than the Bulls this year. Let's go, man.
it's
Let's
cool.
go talk about it.
Man.
You're right.
All right.
You're right.
Let me ask you this.
Rails.
I'm
You're
not sure of the contract setup, but with the disgruntled or lack of interest Zion, even though he's been showing lately.
Get control of his hands. There you go.
Yeah, he's been showing lately. Could they be in the runnings for the sweepstakes from the Bulls? Or contractually, I'm not sure what the contracts are looking like for BI. CJ's contract's not big though. Could they make some moves? But they have a great bench over there though in New Orleans. So
are you saying a Zion Levine flip of some sort?
Yeah. Or even if you keep Zion, ship somebody else out.
I think with a player like Zion, in a franchise like New Orleans, as much as we continue to say that we know this is going to be an unhappy ending, I feel like they're not, nor can they pull that trigger until it's too late. As much as I can sit up here and say they need to, because it's almost guaranteed once they trade him, he will figure it out and haunt them. As much as, I think Pop Mama threw it to us before.
They're
he's
in a
picking on us.
lose-lose situation.
Who won the AD
saying.
trade? Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying, right? And we could talk about the value that New Orleans got from that AD trade, but the Lakers won the AD trade. They got the best player, they got the championship, and AD, at his best, is better than anybody that they shipped out. I feel like New Orleans trades Zion and ends up being the same story, man.
But is it not the same story if they keep him and he just continues to underperform and doesn't get anywhere? So it's like a double-edged sword. Like somebody has to pull the trigger. So is it better, which fiscally speaking, right? If we're looking on the business end, it's better to keep the player that's going to fill up the seats and get your money in, right? Fiscally speaking, we get that. From the owner's perspective, they're going to do that. Keep the seats filled, etc. That's why I don't think LeBron is going anywhere, right? LeBron is in a high ticket. Even if his game declines, it's still LeBron. People are going to come see LeBron, right? But as you get to the lower levels of the organization, those who really care about the game, the coaches, the assistant coach, the players or whatever, like you're looking at this dude, as Lou would say, out here eating beignets every day, just huffing and puffing on this court, and you're just trying to you just want to win. Like, at what point do you do something else? And I would love to see an organization pull a trigger and take that risk. I would love to see it similar to what, even though Christian is hating on him, even similar to what Masai did with Kawhi. Let me roll the dice on this dude. He's been injured. He hasn't been playing. I'm gonna roll the dice on this dude, and look what happened. He got him a chip. Like I'd love to see people do that. Be like, you know what? You're not worth it right now. Get out of here. Let me get somebody that'll get us and make moves. I would just love to see that energy.
So
sometimes,
I'm about to say it. Wait,
has been riding that coattail of that Kawhi trade for about
as he should.
But
listen
5 years now.
Hold on.
Look,
I'm tired of
been
y'all
riding that
spoiled.
wave.
I'm tired of y'all. Every single person here, except maybe Ev. Bulls, y'all got your championships. Lakers, y'all got your champ. Stop talking. You're talking about people who haven't seen championships in 1971, sir.
They just beat the Warriors today.
Listen, the
The
only thing I have to say about that pickup.
Listen, he got a chip.
He rolled the dice, but the dice were loaded.
Oh, never mind.
You just had a guy. Listen, you just had a guy who won an MVP and a championship next to Timmy. It wasn't like he would. Rolling the dice on Zion is different than rolling the dice on something like Kawhi. But I feel what you're saying. I feel you.
Injuries.
But my dog, I would rather roll the dice on somebody who won an MVP in a championship, NBA championship, than a rookie that struggles to stay on the floor.
I get it, bro. But I still felt like
proven over unproven, right? That's the same. Proven over unproven.
That's all I'm taking. That's the only difference I'm saying. However, if I'm New Orleans, again, small market, I think they're in a similar situation to Memphis, right? You're a small market. You're not going to have big guys come to your team. Trading the biggest thing that you've got, especially from a draft perspective, in decades or maybe in franchise history, you ride it to pause.
Hey,
so
man,
you can't anymore.
Winning cures all. I'm all for trading away
in a small market though.
Trimming
money
the fat
cures all.
So we can.
But
win.
you're in a small market, bro. Small market teams don't have that luxury.
See what I did there? Thank you for recognizing my pun.
That
Dang,
wasn't nice.
But Zion is not trimming nothing. We can see it.
Listen, man, trim the fat, man.
He needed new Genesis commercial.
All right,
to your question, Zion for Levine in any form, I don't think accomplishes that.
No, it doesn't. I'm just saying
nobody
can be bold enough. Zion for AD. Let's go.
Well,
to
the fact that
what the hell?
You can speak
These guys on crack.
The Bulls, the Bulls have looked better since Levine's been out. Now that could be anecdotal and coincidental, but it is something to look at. I saw Patrick Williams make a move the other day that I was like, wow.
Identity.
Kobe White looking great.
Identity. You have an identity once you decide on who your clear star player is. You know, who the clear leader of the team is. Now, that distinction has been made. Now that there is at least a path forward where you can evaluate what success looks like. We're moving into a new phase of what this experiment is. Do I think it translates to us being a top 16? Nah, I think there's a lot that we're still lacking. But that's what we currently are. Yes, it's all good. But because at the end of the day, we've been sitting in the same place watching the finals for years. So it's all good.
Yeah, man, we have
facts.
Listen, in summation, y'all. In summation,
it's all right. The Knicks could have been so much better than what they are now if they just gave up RJ Barrett.
The Maple Mamba's not going anywhere, man.
I just looking good this year.
Y'all could have had so many players if it's just give up RJ Barrett. I don't know why up on him.
I hear you, but there's no way we can outbeat anybody when the Heat are out here offering Tyler Hero and 2 firsts. So
it's just
tough.
Stuck
with what we have.
But you know what it is? It's also like it must be tough when you look at all the players that you passed up on, like Halliburton.
Listen, man, Lou want to hate on me so bad right now because I said the Bulls haven't been good since Jordan. Man, go ahead, man, get yours off.
All right, we're gonna stop it right here because we got the OT segment, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. We do have more trade talk coming, as you see. Evan and Lou are just primed to go. But we got more of that content coming for you on the OT segment.
Yes, OT. We're gonna talk about when Ev saw his team win an NBA championship. Stay tuned.
All right, y'all. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. We'll see you guys next time. What's up, guys? Thank you for listening to the 3on3 podcast. Please be sure to give the episode a thumbs up if you loved it. Hit that subscribe button, and last but not least, hit that bell so that way you're notified every time we drop a new episode. Hit us up on our social media, guys. You can find us at the 3on3 podcast on IG and Twitter. If you want to give us any ideas or suggestions, shoot us an email at the 3on3podcast@gmail.com. We appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in. See you guys next time.